What are the components of that proposal? Introduction. Research questions. The straight away research questions after introduction or something else in between?
Research objectives.
Before that. Literature. Okay.
And then towards that conclusion.
That proposal will not have conclusion.
Methodology and conclusion.
Conclusion will not be there in the proposal. Research proposal will not have conclusion. Research methodology. Okay. Research methodology. Okay. Research methodology. So what generally, for example, we take introduction. What do we write in introduction? What do we write in introduction chapter? Passage, paragraph. Because right now you are at proposal stage. What we are supposed to write in introduction? For example, academic research and research support. This is the title of our workshop.
Yes, sir. Introduction, usually we talk about the background. We talk about the topic you are going to study.
Fine. Say for example, what is your subject?
My subject is resistance literature, conflict literature.
What is it?
Conflict literature.
Literature, English literature. You are from English literature.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Say for example, take your own topic of conflict literature.
Yes, sir.
How do you write the introduction for that?
First, I need to introduce my topic.
Okay. How do you?
Yes, sir. Starting, what is resistance literature?
Okay.
So I need to define the broad field of research.
Okay.
Yeah, that is my conflict literature or resistance literature.
So straight away you can go to the definition, or before that we do something. So definition comes little later. But what would be the first sentence you are going to write? This is very, very important. Whether it is a project proposal or research proposal. No, first sentence of your introduction. When you would like to write introduction, what is that first sentence you are going to start with? Because there are several things come to our mind. For example, that's where I am taking this common topic, academic research and research support. But from here, I can say that the academic research quality, somebody wanted to conduct a study because I wanted to take very general topic which is applicable to all of us. So you are supposed to conduct a study on academic research quality in higher education institutions of India. This is your research problem. You would like to study whether it is a PhD research, whether it is a research sponsored, funded research project. Like I think, I will tell you the difference between these two. But if you wanted to conduct a study on, you would like to measure academic research quality in higher education institutions in India, HEIs. This is the question. This is the topic. Now, how do you start your introduction? How do you start your introduction? So that's because introduction should be very appealing, very interesting. So unless introduction is good, you will not go through the content. I can simply say that, you start with a quotation, some quotation about quality, about education, about higher education institutions, about academic research, some kind of a quote, one interesting quote which goes closely with your ideology. Because there are several quotes, but one quote is very close to your ideology. That quote is going to set the tone for your study. That quote is going, for example, I have done my first PhD in consumer protection. Of course, second PhD is in psychology, but first was in management. So there, I started my thesis with the consumer is the most important person in our premises, given by Mahatma Gandhi. So I started with that sentence, that kind of a passage, the statement given by Mahatma Gandhi about consumer. So from there, I started narrating about, how consumer is very important in business. Then gradually I have taken to John F. Kennedy in 1962 on March 15th. He spoke about consumer rights. That is where we celebrate March 15th as Consumer Rights Day. So that means, we have to set the tone. We have to set the platform. We have to set the tone. So that is what introduction is going to do. It is more like a funnel approach. It's more like a funnel approach. The funnel approach means, we speak about international scenario, we speak about national scenario, we speak about regional scenario, then finally we come to the topic. That's what is the funnel. Funnel. You start with a very macro perspective. Slowly you are coming to micro. The micro is your topic. But to come to the topic, we need to have some kind of a articulation. Say for example, I say quality of research in higher education institutions. But finally, though I am saying about higher education institutions in India, but there are several varieties of higher education institutions. I may not be covering all of them. So finally, I may boil down to some universities. That university is also located in Telangana. In Telangana also, I am not going to study all the universities. Again, I study only 1, 2, 3. So this is what ultimately you are coming to. But I need to categorically say the flow, how it is. So international scenario, national scenario. And also we are going to speak about the need for the study. What is the need for studying this? Some justification. There are so many topics. Why did you choose this topic? Why did you choose this topic for your study? Either it is research or project, whatever it is. So what is so interesting here? Say for example, if I take all your research topics, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can say that 70% of the topics are already done, or 80% of the topics already the research is there. But what are you going to do something different? So maybe your university will give you PhD degree for such kind of proposals, but funding agency will not give you funding for research. Very simple. Because universities are very generous. Universities are very inclusive. So they try to give you, whatever topic you come out with, it's okay. But when it comes to research projects, because there is a lot of funding involved, there is a lot of money involved. But here there is no money, direct money. Indirectly there would be some kind of a money. That means, the time of the faculty, your own time, faculty time, the infrastructure, something like that. But otherwise there is no direct implication to the government. But when you go for a funding agency, the funding agency always look at return on investment. If I am investing some 30 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 15 lakhs on a research project, what is that I am going to get out of it? Who is going to get benefit out of this study? This is what is very, very important. Who is the audience for my study? But majority of the time, our dissertations, nobody reads except scholar, supervisor, examiner. Nobody reads. And they will be there in our library. And nowadays even there is no need to submit hard copies. It is only electronic version. I don't know. In our University of Hyderabad, we moved towards online. So thesis will be submitted online. Reports will be conducted online. Viva to be done online. So there is no physical bound copy. But for us, general impression is, research project thesis means 300 pages, 250 pages, bulk. And also, we used to type only one side, print only one side. Why this one side business has come? Those days people used to type. So typing both sides is a problem, but today even we have a sophisticated laser printing also, we are only doing one side. So that's where in our university, when I was director IQAC, so I said that, we are wasting lot of nation resources. So now we are going for a sophisticated public printing, and also that is executive bond paper with a GSM of some 10, 11. So then where is the problem? Then we have made into both side printing. Then the thesis size has become like a textbook size. Because earlier it was like this. Now it has become like this. So today now one step further, there is no printing at all. We submit online and online it goes, and people will evaluate, submit online report, online viva, everything is done online. So finally, where your study is going, work is going to be seen, that is going to be seen in Shodh Ganga of UGC. I don't know how many of you seen Shodh Ganga website? Have seen? Okay. So you have seen the various thesis there, what is uploaded from various universities. So what is your opinion about quality of research in Indian universities? If you look at all the dissertations. So what is that your impression about it? What do you feel? There are a lot of repetition of topics. Somebody will do in Madhya Pradesh, somebody will do in Andhra Pradesh, somebody will do in Hyderabad, same topic more or less. More or less same topic. And the same 400 sample here and there. More or less questionnaire, data collection, then descriptives, tables, mean, standard deviation, bar chart, pie chart. Then people are going for some statistical test like t-test, ANOVA, chi-square, z-test. And now I think in the recent past people are going for little advanced tools. But when we look at all the dissertations together, I am saying in looking at the dissertation, isolation is different. But when you look at all the dissertations pertaining to a same subject, from multiple universities, you find lot of redundancy. Yes or no? Yes or no? You find redundancy? Same topics more or less with a little change. Title change, little bit of title change, but only the difference is context. Somebody will do in Hyderabad, somebody will Nalgonda, somebody will do in Karimnagar, somebody will do Vijayawada. But otherwise study is more or less same. And findings also more or less same. At the end of the day, findings also more or less same. Then somebody can ask, what is that your contribution? Because you are not contradicting earlier findings and you are going with the earlier findings and you have spent 3 to 4 years of time and your thesis number of pages are some 200, 250, 300. But finally, when it comes to the discipline, are we able to add one single sentence to the existing body of knowledge? See, if you look at our review of literature, whatever thesis we make, but somebody wanted to refer me, they will refer whole my thesis in one paragraph as R.S. Bellamkonda, because you know in citation, full name is not written. Full name is an acronym. Usually in our day-to-day life, family name is acronym, letter, and our full name is B. Rajshekhar. But when it comes to citations, you know, my name is Bellamkonda R.S. as stated by Bellamkonda R.S. 2021, so and so. They mention about a simple one paragraph or 2 lines, 3 lines. That is all my finding. All my research finding is only 2-3 lines. But in majority of the cases, we don't even have those 3 to 3 lines because there is nothing new is coming out of our study. That is where the topic is more important for doing the research, whether it is a project, whether it is research. But when it comes to doing the research, we would like to choose the easiest topic. And when you wanted to publish, that fellow will not publish our paper because there is nothing new. Because the publisher also will have lot of circulation. Unless the topic is innovative, technique is innovative, findings are different, context is different, why I should publish your paper? I don't want to publish. So as a consequence, what will happen now? We go to a journal which will publish our work. So as a consequence, we are lowering down our publication standard. The work has, because you have spent 3 to 4 years of your time, but finally that is not published in a good journal. This is what I think, this is a lot of connection. Your research problem, your techniques, your tools, your methodology, your articulation, your arguments, your hypothesis, the statistical tools what you are using, softwares what you are using for data collection, the variables. I think yesterday you have seen my 2 colleagues have come, Murugan and Lokanand. Okay, so I think Murugan must be speaking mostly about theory. He always speaks about theory. So what is the theoretical support to your study? There are several theories are there, no? But are you taking a theory as a basis for your study? Whether your study is testing a theory, retesting the theory, extending the theory, validating the theory, contradicting the theory, proposing the new theory. What is that it is doing? So otherwise is nothing. Nothing. Simply, you identify a problem, you make some review of literature, and review of literature again, I don't know, somebody must have spoken about review of literature. So usually what do you say? So and so said, quote and unquote, gone. That is not review of literature. Review of literature is also lot of synthesis should happen. So once upon a time what happens is you write one name and one paragraph. Today you write 2 lines, in bracket 10 names. That means 10 people in 10 different time periods, 10 different time periods have contributed and have confirmed that particular point. So that means our research review of literature has become more dense. Earlier it was very liberal, but it has become more dense. That means writing one paragraph in the review of literature is too challenging. Earlier it was very simple. One chapter of review of literature, people used it to sit one day because from there one paragraph, from there one paragraph, from there one paragraph, there is no connectivity between one paragraph. Now I think we have to do something like synthesizing the literature. We have to synthesize the literature. So this is the second important point. But first of all, again I will get back to my original question. Why are we doing this particular research? This is the question. That's what I think you need to argue and you need to justify in your introduction topic. That is what we say: need for the study, importance of the study, significance of the study. I think everything together we are trying to articulate in our introduction. That is what is very, very important. So introduction should be very interesting. So based on the introduction only, people will realize whether we can fund this project or not. So I am combining both. One is our PhD research proposal, second one is project funding projects. For example, some faculty members, are there any faculty members sitting here? Degree college faculty? Of course, madam I know. Yeah. So when you are working in degree colleges, there is a possibility for you to go for funding for projects, because nowadays NAC is insisting for research projects. NAC is insisting for research papers. NAC is insisting for patents. So that is what I think, the NAC, if you look at assessment or NAC or NIRF, so they are now giving lot of emphasis for research. Otherwise, if there is no research, there is no difference between degree college and university. What differentiates a university from a college is research. But degree college and university are considered to be a kind of a higher education institutions. There is not much difference between these two. Only the difference is in degree colleges more teaching load when compared to universities. Otherwise, the mandate is same for both degree college and universities. Maybe in the NAC accreditation, NIRF, there is some kind of a change of proportion. For teaching proportion is more for colleges, research proportion is more for universities. That is what is the difference. Beyond that, there is not much. So again, I just get back to the same question that, when you are making your research proposal, we need to identify an interesting problem. So identification of the interesting problem itself is, half done. But unfortunately, our research problems are very routine research problems. Very routine research problems. We know if you go to Shodh Ganga, now if you type a word called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Guarantee Employment Scheme, Employment Guarantee Scheme, so you find hundreds of dissertations on that. It is in Haryana, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, within Andhra Pradesh, within Telangana, I think, so many things. The Usmania people will do on Mahbub Nagar, Kakatiya people will do in Warangal, Nalgonda, Mahatma Gandhi will do in Nalgonda. More or less, methodology is same, procedure is same, tool is same. Then we collect the same data, socio-economic conditions, how finally you say that this scheme has helped a lot, something like that, and you suggest these are the kind of suggestions need to improve. And majority of the suggestions also, one, they are not different. All of them are common. Number two, they are not implementable. The suggestions what we give. That is where at the end of the proposal or project or thesis, people will ask, who is the stakeholder of this thesis? Who is going to get benefit out of your study? This question I think we need to keep in our mind. When you are making a project, when you are making a research proposal, who is going to get benefit out of this study? Discipline, number one. Number two, government. For example, your thesis can be an input for policy making. Why not? The thesis can be an input for policy making. For example, somebody wanted to study on suicides, student suicide. Anybody working on that? Student suicides. This is a kind of a burning problem in our country. The students are committing suicides in universities, colleges, and also IITs, at premium institutions. So if you choose that particular topic and study them, what could be the reasons for student suicides and what could be the institutional mechanisms prevailing, what kind of suggestions you can give. So this is going to help the policy makers to make the policies. So very recently, this IIT council has taken a decision, one IIT. What they said is, the first year branch change based on the performance. For example, I joined civil, but I am interested in computer science. But I didn't get in computer science, but always my heart beats for computer science. So in second year, if there is a vacancy in the computer science, then among the first years, all the first years, whoever is the topper, based on the merit, they will be given that opportunity. So now very recently, after 3-4 suicides in IIT Madras, what they have realized is, this is creating the problem. Now they have restricted that, a student joins in a particular branch, they have to continue, there is no sliding business. If you put a sliding, this unhealthy competition is growing. So as a consequence, people are committing suicide. So this is what is one kind of a quick conclusion they had. So what is happening now? There is a problem, there is a solution, that solution has become a policy is implemented, As a consequence, suicides may come down. So that means, this is what we call in our research, action research. It is action research. There's a problem, we are finding out a solution, this solution is going to solve the problem. This is how we are trying to look at a loop. That means there is a existing problem. If you choose, that project will have more chances of funding. More chances of funding. So if you would like to study and give some kind of a valid suggestion, for example, I said quality of research in higher learning institutions. If you do a research on that, maybe UGC may be interested to fund, because UGC is also worried about quality of higher education in India. UGC is also worried about quality of higher education in India. So if you make a proposal that you would like to study higher education quality in Indian universities, maybe UGC may be interested, or Ministry of Education may be interested. Who knows? But unfortunately, most of our topics are not having a societal implications. Why are we doing our PhD? Is a question mark. Why are we writing our project proposal, research proposal? Is it for the national interest? Is it individual interest? Is it disciplinary interest? By our project, by our thesis, for all practical purposes, I can also consider our research is also a project. So that particular project, who is going to get benefit out of it? Whether government is going to get benefit out of our study, or you are going to get benefit out of your study, number 2, or society is going to get benefit out of study, number 3. Number 4, tomorrow your students are going to get benefit because of your outstanding research. Because now in the research process, you learn lot of techniques. Tomorrow, if you become a supervisor, your students are going to get better knowledge. And indirectly, the nation is also going to be getting more benefit because you are having empowered researchers. So this is a chain reaction. So if you are trained well, you will train well. If you are not trained well, you will not train well. So it is like a chain. So as a consequence, what will happen now? So everything is becoming like a procedure. So now I have joined for a PhD. I'll attend some 10 days contact classes, then write a pre-PhD, and failing in pre-PhD is almost impossible. So complete pre-PhD, then research proposal, then some papers, and pre-submission, submission, viva. Done. What next? What next is the question now. So what are we trying to look at now? Your proposal, by looking at the proposal, I should see whether this particular proposal has a potential for publication. This is also very, very important. Only bad journals will accept with back date. Today you submit, you will get an acceptance letter from yesterday date. So don't look at those kind of journals, and we need to look at good journals. The good journal always will have, the rejection rate is 90%, 80%. They get 100 papers, they publish only 4 or 5. So that journals, they have lot of time, they take lot of time. So today even if you submit, the decision will come after 1 year, publication will come after 1 more year. That means from the date to your publication, it takes 4 years. If you wanted to publish in a good journal. Then after 4 years, this topic is going to have the potential or not. That is what the funding agency will look into that. Not today. Not today. After 4 years, after 3 years, still this topic is going to be relevant. If somebody publishes papers in this area, is going to have a publishability opportunities. This is what is very important. So now, the conclusion of the whole story is, while writing the proposal, the research questions are important, research area is important, research topic is important, research problem is important. So identification of the right problem is very, very important. So we have to identify the right problem, so that will attract funding. That will attract funding. So what happens in sciences? What happens? The research supervisor will have a project funded by DST, DBT, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, CSIR, ICMR. Right, these kind of institutions fund the project. The project worth is 50 lakhs, 75 lakhs, 1 crore, 1.5 crore, 2 crores. So that person, that professor has submitted a proposal to do the project. Then when that person gets the scholar, one of the objectives of that project will be a research topic for the research scholar. And as a consequence, what happens now? Already that proposal is vetted by a funding agency with 3-4 experts. Because when you submit a project proposal, it will go to reviewers. The reviewers are going to review the paper, proposal. Based on the proposal only, based on their recommendations, they are going to approve the project. So once they approve the project, that already peer review has happened. So then straight away from that, a supervisor will give a topic to the scholar. The scholar completes the project. Scholar completes the project thesis, and by the time they complete, one of the objectives of the project is also done. Like that, 2, 3, 4 scholars will be taking up that particular project, and they submit, they get degrees, they get publications, and they also get fellowship from the project. This is all a kind of a chain reaction. So if you put a good proposal for the project, the direct benefit is you get funding. The indirect benefit is your scholars also going to get the fellowship. Number 2. Number 3, your scholars, if they continue the same work, they publish good papers. Their thesis is also going to be very good. Supervisor also will have an interest. So in general, what happens now when you are doing your PhD, your supervisors, what is the motivation for your supervisor? Your supervisor get 1 PhD awarded. But whereas there, not only 1 PhD awarded, for supervisor also, the progress of the project is very important. So then supervisor also work equally hard to complete that task. In the process, the supervisor will give lot of knowledge to the scholar. So obviously the scholar gets benefit out of it. So this is the kind of a chain reaction. So now again I am coming to the introduction. So once you have identified very interesting problem, then the next important question is, where do we get the problems? This is the next question. This is what I think when you have joined for your PhD program, you must have gone to your supervisor and asking about, so in which topic I should work on. But unfortunately, these topics are not available in the market. They are not available in the shelf of the supervisor. Supervisor can open the shelf and give you the problem. So that's where our problem is. And also when you are coming for the interview itself, you are coming out with a proposal. This is a very interesting part. When you come for the proposal, interview, you are coming out with the research proposal. Without knowing ABCD of research methodology, you are making a proposal. This is another kind of a danger. But then what is happening now? You take somebody's help. That somebody will help you in writing the proposal. With that proposal, you will come and defend in the interview. And then you get the seat. Then what happens the next stage? Whatever proposal I have submitted, I would like to continue in that. But that is not yours. Since you have already have done something and presented, and your supervisor also says, why can't you continue the same topic? You continue the same topic. But then, though you have not done enough work in that area, but you are compelled to continue the topic. Then after 2 years, you will come back and say, Madam, I am not getting the data. Sir, I am not getting the data. This is another important issue while writing the proposal. You need to have some kind of assurance for somewhere where you can get the data. If you are not getting the data, then after 2 years, 3 years, then what do we do? Already you have written pre-PhD, you have submitted your proposal, already 3 years are over, you have made your questionnaire and you went to the field, you are not getting the data. Then what do we do then? So that means before even writing the proposal, you need to look at the feasibility of the data collection. That is very, very important. Feasibility of the data collection. So unless there is a chances of getting data, there is no way that you can proceed further, especially in social science research. Data is very important. Of course, science research, the advantage is they can do in the lab. But for social science, we have to go to the society. Society, up to some extent, you can get the data from the respondents. But when you wanted to get the data from employees of the organization, it's extremely difficult. Sometimes you are not even permitted to enter the organization. You wanted to do something on job satisfaction of IT employees. Which IT company is going to allow you inside? Nobody will allow you to inside. Then what do we do now? You stuck. So then you find all different means and ways, and finally what you keep your sampling plan aside. Whoever is available, you collect data from them. Then as a consequence, what happens now? Your whole purpose is compromised. Because in the research, idea is there is a universe, population. From the population you are choosing the sample, and we are supposed to choose a representative sample. But unfortunately, majority of our samples are not representative. Yes or no? Do you agree? Most of our samples are not representative. Do you agree with the statement? Then when they are not representative, how do you generalize? But unfortunately, we are generalizing. Your title says India. Title says Telangana. But finally, you are studying your work in Narsampet of Warangal district. And you are now saying that these findings are generalizable to whole country. Even Narsampeta kind of findings are not acceptable or generalizable or similar to Mahabubnagar. How it can be similar to Bilaspur, Raipur, Chhattisgarh? No way. So that's where majority of the time our titles also sometimes misleading. In India, you keep in India, in Telangana. But in Telangana also, we have almost 30 plus districts. And each district has got its own uniqueness. So then what happens now? You wanted to study 10 companies. You are unable to get data. Only one company has given you permission. Then you go to that company and collect the data. So yours has become, instead of a cross-sectional study, it has become a case study. It has become a case study now. It is not 10 companies data. It is only one company data. So one company data is not cross-sectional, it's a case study. Then accordingly, you may have to change your thesis title. That it is a case study of so-and-so company. But you never say that. Still you give an impression that it is a cross-sectional data. Across you have done, but you have not done. So what I am trying to tell you, the feasibility of data collection is, we need to ensure feasibility of data collection before we write our proposal. Because you write the proposal, for example, PhD, at least we have a chance to change the topic, get back and change the topic. We may miss the time. But in the project, what happens? They have given a stipulated time of 24 months. And after 1 year, 12 months, you realize that there is no feasibility to proceed. By that time, already you have taken some advance, you have started spending the money, you bought some equipment, you have hired some field investigators, and you have been paying them salaries. You have also appointed a research associate, you have been paying the salaries. After 1 year, you realize you cannot proceed. Then funding agency will insist you to repay the whole money back. So that is another danger. Or you may have to do some compromised project. Once you do a compromised project, there are two consequences. Number one, when you submit the report to the funding agency will may reject that particular project that you have not done, go back, and we don't give you any money, you have to complete and come back. So this is one kind of a possibility. The second thing is, you may not get papers out of it. You may not get research papers out of it because your methodology is a problem, data is a problem. The third one is, you may not get another project again from the same funding body because they will blacklist you. Because you have taken the money, you have not submitted, or you submitted a hopeless project report. Then they will put you in a block list. This is the third consequence. The fourth consequence is, a scholar who is working with you also will have a kind of a reputation, no? Because supervisor has a negative reputation, the scholar has to also bear it. So most of the supervisor is good, scholar can get the benefit. The supervisor has a bad reputation, scholar also will have to bear with the bad reputation. This is another challenge. Not only you, the people who are going to work with you, people who are in the team, these are all the consequences. So that is where we need to identify a kind of a right topic, feasible topic, novelty. That is also very, very important. Finer, that is fine, that should be feasible, that should be innovative, that should be novel. Okay. And also, that should be a kind of a relevant. Relevance is also very, very important. Sometimes what happens, my subject area is something and my research topic is nothing to do with the subject area. In one department, I would be doing PhD related to other topic. Sometimes it also happens. Sometimes it happens. So, my topic is pertaining to this subject, but I got admission in some other department. Because some other department will have eligibility criteria is any PG. So, I am so desperate to get the PhD seat and I will go and join that department. But I wanted to continue my own work, but the department says no. Say for example, women's studies is the department. But you are from history. But you go to women's studies and you wanted to do PhD in history. But that women's studies department says, no, you have to do in women's studies only. Then what you try to do now, you try to connect women and history somewhere and you try to make a story out of it. And finally, after completion of PhD, when you go for employment, you go for women studies, there are no departments of women studies. Then you go to history department, they will say your PhD is not from history. Then you are not even shortlisted for the jobs. But people are so desperate to get the seat. After completion, what next? Today you are okay getting the seat, some department. But tomorrow, when you apply for a job, you are not even shortlisted because your thesis is not from that area. This is the challenge. This is the challenge. So keep these things in mind while identifying the topic, while identifying the problem, while identifying the methodology. So then sometimes what happens, there is a new problem, new technique. New problem, old technique. Old problem, new technique. But let us not go with the old problem and old technique. That is highly repetition. Problem is old, technique is old. This is the another kind of a challenge. The next important issue is majority of the time in the literature. So very recently I was there in a PhD Viva, day before yesterday. The thesis was submitted in 22, Viva was held on 2 days ago, in 23. But his review of literature stopped at 2018. So that was the point I have identified. So your thesis was submitted in 2022. Why did you stop your review of literature at 2018? So then what is expected in a proposal is your review of literature should be up to date. Very latest, for example, today I am submitting my proposal. Till last month, till yesterday, I have to look at the research papers. But unfortunately, that boy did up to 2018. Then after 18, there would be a lot of things must have come from 18 to now.
The same applies to the research thesis also.
Research thesis also, same. No, there is not much difference between these two. See, madam said project proposal, but after seeing all of you are all research scholars, there is not much meaning in speaking about projects, funding, other things. That is where now I think, I made into more of a proposal, but both are same. Any review of literature, whether it is a project or thesis, it should be up to date. Number one. Number two, I asked him, where did you search for the journals to write your review of literature? That fellow said Google and Google Scholar. But unfortunately, Google Scholar will not cover all the research papers. You are missing out 80 to 90% of good quality journals if you go by Google and Google Scholar. What you have to do now? You have to go to libraries where online databases are subscribed, like SAYS, Emerald, Science Direct, Taylor and Francis, Wiley, right? So we may have to look at such databases. From there we have to download our papers. Then I think you can get good quality research papers. And there are some journals, when you wanted to write a paper, they say that the citation should be from the journals of having so and so impact factor. Even if the work what you are citing, it should be from standardized journals. It cannot be from anywhere. But today what happened now after the APA score, introduction of APA score, academic performance indicators, there are a lot of online journals and majority of them are predatory journals. And people can write anything they publish and you are citing them, that has no meaning. That has no meaning. So that is where, from where you are citing your work is also very, very important. So for which you need to look at only quality journals. The next important question is, how do we identify a good quality journal is the question. I think tomorrow morning my colleague Sabat is going to speak about such metrics. I am not getting into that area. But how do we identify a given journal is a good journal? This is what I ask in faculty selections. I ask this question. I give you 10 journals in your own area. Now I ask you to identify, rank them based on their quality. How do you do that? That is very interesting exercise. But unfortunately, we were not trained. We are not trained on that area in our system. So that is where I think, we are not even aware that what is a good journal, what is a bad journal. So majority of the time our review of literature is happening with available journals rather than good journals. Our review of literature, I think if you recall the way you have written your proposal, you have just simply gone to the Google and typed and whatever papers have come from there, you have taken the inputs. So it is not very scientific way of reviewing the literature. you may have to go to a reputed institutions like University of Hyderabad, where they have a lot of subscription for online journals. I think our library online journal budget is 4 crores per annum. The University of Hyderabad spends 4 crores per annum to get the subscriptions. Very expensive. There are some databases we may have to pay some 1.5 crore. Because unless we invest such kind of a money, we will not have access to such quality journals. Since you are unable to do it at a personal level, or institution like B.R. Ambedkar University may not have that kind of a funding, then you may have to go to such institutions and you go to and approach librarian. Most of the time they permit, otherwise people like us are always there to help. Research scholars will come to us and we write some recommendation, they go to library. Or sometimes they come to my own room and I attach one of my scholars. Through my credentials, they download papers. See, this is where I think we may have to find means and ways to get access to quality journals. The advantage of getting access to quality journal is you are able to read good quality papers. Then you know the way they are articulating. The way they are articulating, that is also very important. How they are identifying the research problem, how they are convincing, how they are writing introduction, how they are writing methodology, how they are writing. I think if you read good papers, this also helps you to improve your thesis writing. Your thesis writing also in art is a skill. It won't come overnight. By reading several papers, I think you will come to know that their writing style, their argument. And sometimes you find good paper in a good journal, but when you read it, there is nothing. It got published because of their wonderful articulation, the good articulation. Sometimes you have too much of data, but because of poor articulation, you cannot publish in a mediocre journal. So then I think partly because English is not our native language. This is a problem. And our methodology, I think I will come to that methodology little later, but still I am in the review of literature. So we need to get into that good quality review of literature, for which I think you need to depend on good quality resources. So otherwise, if you are looking at only poor quality journals, your review of literature is hopeless. Because you are now justifying. See, for example, today just now I am coming from a research proposal, pre-submission seminar of my own scholar. So he has done something on food tourists, their behavioral intentions, their satisfaction, behavioral intentions and satisfaction of food tourists. So street foods, mostly street foods. So he has collected data about 800 to 900 from Delhi and Hyderabad, and he went to all these street food centers and collected data from that tourists. So based on that, he was proposing, and for which 2022 latest, and he was mentioning that so and so he has taken Hong Kong study, Indonesia study, America study, German study, Japan study, the similar kind of studies with kind of a different orientation. Then paper, what paper it is, who is the author, the journal, year of publication, sample size, tools used, what are the tools they have used, and what are the techniques they have used, and what are their findings. I think he made a wonderful analysis of the literature. So that based on that literature, he is identifying the gaps. I think these many people have studied these many areas, but still this area is not studied. Though they have studied in isolation, they have not studied together. So this is where I think that is where he has identified as a research gap. So research gap to be identified through review of literature. Research gap to be identified through review of literature. After doing a thorough review of literature, you mention research gap. Once you make a research gap, your study is going to make an attempt to reduce the gap. To fill the gap is very impossible. Reduce the gap with delta x. Whatever you are going to contribute, you are going to contribute with delta x. With something you are making an attempt to address some unaddressed issues by your predecessors. The people who have done research in that area, whatever areas they have not addressed, you have now taken up that issue and you are trying to find a solution to the problem where several people have attempted from several perspectives, but still it is not a comprehensive thing. So that's where you can claim that this is first of its kind. Then that research is going to have more value, rather than it is like a routine treadmill kind of a proposal. When I sit in the project proposals, at the end of the proposal I say, what is that you are going to say? Everything is all right. Somebody will do, that PhD Viva which I have attended. So he has done some study on supermarkets, not supermarkets, malls. So he has conducted study on 1,000 people. He went to Bangalore, he went to Delhi, he went to Hyderabad. He has done good study of 1,000 people, 1,200 people. At the end of it, he said that the aesthetics of the mall will attract the customers. Do you require that study to say that? There is no need. It's already known fact. The layout of the mall is going to have more customers. The customer satisfaction will be there if you have discounts. All these things are writing. It's available already. A small kid also can tell all these things. 8th class, 9th class fellow, if you ask him to do such kind of a study, that fellow will within 1 hour, that fellow will come out with all these findings. What makes a mall a great place to go? Everybody knows. Then I said, after 4 years of your time, you have come out with the same conclusions. Then who will publish this? Nobody will publish. So that means, even before you start the work, already if you know the answers, don't go for it. At the end of the day, the research is going to find a solution to some problems. But the problem and the solution already are known to you. Then you are only going to prove that the solution is right. Then that is not research. Hypothesis?
Somewhat of a hunch, and that also tries to...
No, hunch is fine, but already known, no? It is already known. Then why are we doing? But there is a possibility that somebody has done Indonesia, now you are doing in Hyderabad is a different thing, because whether it is culture specific. In Indonesia it worked out. In Hungary it worked out. Whether it is working in India is a additional dimension you are adding. But my problem is, Usmania University, Kakti University, University of Hyderabad, B.R. Ambedkar, 4 of us are doing the same topic in more or less same location. All of us are going to get the same answers, same methodology. Then it's a lot of duplication. That's what I mean to say. There should be some kind of a novelty, some kind of a innovation, whether you add one new construct. One new construct you can add, that becomes a new study. You are putting one arrow. You put one arrow in between and you put, for example, I always give this example, whether education leads to employment or not. What do you say? Education leads to employment or not? Or education leads to empowerment or not? We say yes. Everybody said that, where education leads to empowerment. Now what I say, every educated is not empowered. The educated who got employment is empowered. Now I am adding one extra variable. Education is one variable, empowerment is one variable, the relationship is I know. Now I am bringing the new variable called employment. Employment is going to, employed educated is more empowered than just educated. Just educated doesn't mean that you are empowered, but you are educated plus employed. Then you are, this is the second level. The third level I say, the level of employment is going to influence the level of empowerment. Now I am going to propose something. Level of education, because I am a clerk, I am an officer. Definitely my empowerment changes. Then I go one step further. Whether this education, employment, empowerment relationship is gender specific or not. This is what I am bringing another dimension. A female professor, female manager, male manager. Female vice chancellor, male vice chancellor. Do they enjoy same empowerment? I am bringing another dimension of gender. Now I bring another dimension now, the social background of the individual. Social background of the individual. A person coming from socially disadvantaged group and an officer. A person coming from advantaged group and attender. Maybe this attender coming from forward caste may be more empowered than officer of a disadvantaged caste. We don't know. This is another dimension I am bringing. So then if you add all these things, it becomes a new model. There may be studies of each parameter, each variable relation, but now I am clubbing all of them. then it becomes a complex model and wonderful model, and the insights are going to be very effective. This is what I am trying to say. You have to add a variable, you have to add a construct, a new construct, a new relationship, test the new relationship. Testing the new relationship. This is also very important. See, for example, PhD gives empowerment. Yes, PhD gives empowerment because highest qualification. But my next question is PhD in sciences, PhD in social sciences. Do we have the same empowerment? Yes, no? No, definitely. PhD from Central University, PhD from State University. Definitely. Working with a professor, working with assistant professor, there is a difference. That means there are several factors are going to influence your research output. So now we are interested more into that. Otherwise, just on the face of it, if you are going to say that is not research, that's what I am trying to say. Because today we have lot of techniques, lot of tools, lot of softwares. So with this kind of a set of tools and softwares, if you take a simple problem and submit the thesis, it is not a thesis. Because when we have done 20 years ago, 25 years ago, things were different. Because there was no computers, firstly. The second one, data analysis manually, calculators. And physically we have to go for data collection. Today, my daughter is doing PhD and she made a Google form. And sent to the people, and she is getting the data. So 1,000 people she sends, she is getting data from 100. So 100 every day, 50, 100 every day. She is getting data from every corner. But those days, we have to carry the bag, printed questionnaire, travel, meet the people, collect the data. Now things have changed. But definitely at the same time, the complexity of the research is also increased today. During those days, making some percentages and bar chart is a research. So today that is no more research. So earlier, if you look at some 20, 30 years ago, old dissertations, they used to write about their sample for 10 pages. My sample comprises of 400 people. Out of 400 people, 200 are male, 200 are female, the many educated, uneducated, marital status, bar chart, pie chart, table, graph, everything about that only. So today, you give one table about the descriptives of the sample. No explanation needed. Don't say something which is already available there. But earlier, same thing we used to write in multiple ways to fill the papers. So today, the average size of dissertation is 120, 130 pages only. The international standard, if you look at 120, 130 page dissertation, we need not have 250 pages. And out of 250 pages, 200 pages are useless. Instead, you can have 120, 130 pages more meaningful. So now the quantity has no relevance today. What is relevant is quality of publication. If you have a good quality of publication, there is no relevance of thesis. Thesis, if you have 3 good publications, put those 3 publications, write an introduction and conclusion and staple it and submit. Your thesis is done. Thesis is done. So you need not have rewriting the whole thesis. That is what majority of the places, once you get the paper, your thesis is done. Because that paper got published in an internationally renowned top class journal. Then obviously what is there for me to look into that? Your supervisor will not say anything, reviewer will not say anything. If the thesis, at the end of the thesis, if you put a paper, when I get a thesis for evaluation, I will go to the last page, see the quality of research paper. If they have to publish. That is a good journal. Then majority of my job is done. So that means, the good journal publication will give you a lot of advantages. So now let us more concentrate on publication rather than thesis. Publication should be your focus, not the thesis. Thesis making is very mechanical job. Publication is very complex job. Because thesis making is very simple, review of literature, introduction, review of literature, research methodology, data analysis and maybe findings, then summary, conclusion. That's it. There's only 5 chapters. By the time you come for your proposal, you are already done with 3 chapters. Technically speaking, by the time you come for your proposal, because you have made introduction, you have made review of literature, you have made methodology. 3 chapters are already over. And only chapter left over is data analysis and interpretation. Once data analysis interpretation is done, from there conclusions writing is one day job. From data analysis you write conclusions. What is there? Nothing. Thesis writing is very simple, provided you have done enough homework for making the proposal. The proposal itself is cut paste, I can't help. If the proposal itself is very ad hoc job and cut paste job, I am not saying about such kind of a proposal. The proposal making itself will take 3 to 4 years. In a typical standard university, proposal, the rest of the things they will do in 1 year. Because 3 chapters will be done by the time you make the proposal. Introduction chapter, review of literature chapter, research design chapter, methodology chapter. Then what is left now? Only data analysis, interpretation. Then anyway findings we can get from the data analysis. So then the data analysis and the interpretation and the writing will take only hardly 6 to 8 months. Done. So what I am suggesting you now, you need to have a good research topic, research question. Good research question, whether it is a sponsored research project or PhD project, good question. How to ask good research question itself is a topic to discuss for 1.5 hours. How to ask good research question. Because we have stopped asking questions in the classrooms as kids. As a student, we never asked questions, no? Then obviously when you become researcher, from where you get the skill of asking the question? So when we go to the class, we ask the students to ask questions, nobody asks questions. So then when you are unable to ask a question in the class, how can you ask questions at the research level? So raising good question is very, very important. So what is that? The premier institutions, the training what they give is, so why JNU is very popular, University of Hyderabad is very popular. We train the students to raise good questions. Today the problem is, getting solution is not a problem. Raising the good question is the problem. Even the Nobel Prize winners also, whoever is going to get Nobel Prize, they are getting the Nobel Prize for their good question. The rest of the thing everybody can do. Whoever is going to do the rest of the part is mechanical. But first of all, identifying a good research question is very important. So for which I think, we need to read a lot. Before writing the research proposal, you need to at least study 200 to 300 research papers, good research paper. Then only you can make a good proposal. But unfortunately in our system, without reading research papers, you make the proposal. Then proposal is done. Then after making the proposal, your whole thing is based on that, because it is like a research plan. You have made some hopeless plan without any expert help. Then once you make the plan, there is no option for you to proceed in the same line. Now the options are closed, because already you have given your proposal is freezed. Then obviously we can't help much. That is where you take your own time to make the proposal. That is very important. But having done the proposal, but I know this university is not that rigid on the proposal. If you wanted to add some variables, wanted to add some more objectives, I think supervisors are very flexible. So now what I am suggesting now, you can improve the scope of the research now. After this interaction, you try to improve the scope. Then first of all, you should also have a clarity that what is my aim, what is my long-term goal, what is that I am going to do with this PhD. This you need to ask this question to yourself. If this PhD is going to give you an employment in a premier institution, then I think, the style of our doing research should change. It is going to be an ornament for me. Fine. As long as you think it is only ornament, like 2 letters before the name, 3 letters after the name, DR and PhD, fine. I am not worried about it. But if you wanted to become a faculty tomorrow and guide your own scholars for their PhD, and you would like to be a lifetime researcher, then obviously you may have to be little more careful. The new techniques what you are learning. See, for example, I can tell you, while review of literature also, how to cite 2 authors, 3 authors, 4 authors, 5 authors, how to cite. This is also very important, for which we have APA guidelines. American Psychological Association has given guidelines about citation, have given guidelines for referencing and citation. Even majority of your dissertations I see in universities, the tables are given like, data tables are given horizontal and vertical lines. But if you go to APA guidelines, the tables will not have side lines. No side lines. And the heading is not in bold. Heading is only italic. and how to give the table number, where to mention the source, how to mention the units, everything is clearly defined by APA guidelines. So what you can do now, today you can go back and download APA manual, American Psychological Association manual, but for English literature I think they follow MLA. So you can go for MLA, but mostly social sciences we go for APA, American Psychological Association, and MLA, second one. The third one is Chicago, fourth one is Vancouver, fifth one is Harvard. Like that, we have, and there are different styles, and journals also have their own citation style. Sometimes some journals specifically mention you have to follow this citation style. But the worldwide accepted is APA, American Psychological Association. So how to cite a person? If one author, two authors, three authors, four authors, five authors, same author you have to cite 2 times. Same paper you have to cite 2 times. I think there are laid down guidelines. So my only discussion here is, though you are doing your PhD from B.R. Ambedkar Open University, but if I remove the front 2 pages and last 2 pages, people can think that it can be from IIT. They should think that I think because we are doing from this university, we did not compromise. Even you can work in B.R. Ambedkar University and you can work like Harvard scholar. This is all motivation. This is all motivation. Don't lower down your expectations. It's independent of university. Whichever university you are working, it doesn't matter. This university is facilitating to give you the degree. But ultimately, your dissertation should be a world-class standard. World-class. Because tomorrow, you can get this. Tomorrow, there are a lot of international, multinational universities are going to come and start their campuses in Hyderabad. That's what the government has permitted. There are a lot of international universities are going. Tomorrow, even if you should be able to get a job in that international university with your publications and dissertation. Why not? I'm not saying everybody, at least among this group, 1 or 2 students or 3 students can get that opportunity, provided if you make a world-class thesis. Though our university is not world-class, but our thesis can be world-class. That's a very simple thing. You can make a world-class thesis. It is possible. It is possible. Nothing is impossible. So you can, though you are working here, but you can seek the help of the professors of other reputed institutions, not only in India. Have a mail contact with a Stanford professor or Harvard professor and start discussing your work with those professors. You get inputs from them. Who prevents you from doing it? If you try with 10 professors, 1 professor may respond. Had we ever tried that option? Writing to a research author, a paper author. Sir, I need some more information. I have so and so doubts in this paper. That's what I train my students. They will, at least they get 50% of them will communicate, will revert back. Why can't we do that? So this is what is very, very important. So reading good papers, reading good dissertations, interacting with the reputed professors, attending workshops of good quality, and presenting your papers in good seminars and conferences. I don't know, as per UGC guidelines, you are supposed to present 2 papers in national and international conferences before you submit the thesis. But use this opportunity to go and present your work in prestigious institutions. Don't go for autonomous colleges and degree colleges of Hyderabad, Reddy, and go and make a presentation, get a participation certificate and enclose. Let us use this opportunity, because having decided to do PhD, let us make a good job. So otherwise, you just do the PhD, but without knowing methodology, without knowing sampling, without knowing techniques, without knowing anything, just simply we have done PhD, that make no sense. This is what I wanted to tell you. Okay. The next important concept is research methodology. This is another important aspect of your proposal. Whether it is PhD proposal or project proposal, the methodology what we are going to use for our study. So now I think the first sentence what we speak about methodology, can anybody tell me what are the various components of that research methodology unit? Yes, please. Textual methodology. Okay, now what do you write in that methodology chapter?
Methodology talks about the different
Yeah.
AI in your study.
Okay.
You talk about different perspectives.
That is English literature.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that is where I am saying, when you said the word perspectives, I said, you are from English literature. So for you,
Yes, sir.
that is the methodology. But more than that, how are you approaching? The whole methodology speaks about how are we approaching our research problem. There is a problem.
Yeah.
We are finding a solution.
We actually take the help of a theory. We try to
Theorize,
different
okay?
concepts.
What kind of theories you are using?
Yes, sir.
What else? I think, our social science people can tell me, what do you write in your methodology chapter?
We generally discuss about sample and how we are going to collect data from them. So tools, what tools we are using, what is the population, what is the sample size.
Good, fine. What is target population, what is sample, what is sample size, what is sampling technique, and how are you going to collect the data, sources of primary data, sources of secondary data, how are you going to make the scale development process, whether you are developing your own scale or you are adopting somebody's scale. Then you are now trying to say that how you are going to analyze the data, and pilot study also you will mention there, and validity, reliability, validity, all those things we are going to discuss there. Okay. For which what we require now, we need to have a sound knowledge in research methodology before you write that methodology chapter. But our preparation for research methodology exam, pre-PhD exam is only knowing some 5-6 questions and answering them and getting passed. But you are not really trained on that. So what are the questions in your research methodology pre-PhD exam? Introduction to research. Types of research. First question. What is review of literature? Second question. Third question. What is research design? Fourth question. What is sampling? Fifth question. What is hypothesis? Hypothesis testing. Sixth question. What is report writing? Steps in report writing. Next question. What are the ethics in report thesis research? Done. If you prepare for these 8 questions, your methodology chapter course is completed. But that will not help us. That is only creating awareness. But you have to become masters. If you are not become masters on methodology in PhD, when do you become? At PhD level, doctoral level, if you are not becoming masters in methodology, when do you become? So that is where you need to read a lot of books on methodology. Quantitative research, qualitative research, mixed methods, action research, epistemology, and whatever theory building, theory testing, hypothesis, formulation of hypothesis, do's and don'ts in hypothesis, how to validate a kind of a statement, reliability, validity, argument. I think how do we argue ourselves is very important. Your total thesis is only argument. You make the argument, in the viva you are going to defend. So how to defend, how to argue, and how to articulate. Argument, articulation, defending. These are the 3 important qualities of a researcher. And also my own suggestion is, don't depend on somebody for your data analysis. You learn all the techniques and you use those techniques and analyze on your own so that your understanding would be better. But today what is happening? People outsource data collection, outsource data analysis, outsource thesis writing. What are we doing then? So let us not get into that outsourcing business. There are people to do this because that has become a business now. But let us not get into that. You take one more extra year, doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, come out with a quality thesis. And that when it comes for viva, defense, without seeing your slides, you should be able to speak. But I know some people, they keep on reading from this. The slides after slides. They copy, paste everything on the slide. Actually, on the slide, you are supposed to keep only bullet point. And you have to elaborate. But unfortunately, people copy, paste the paragraphs after paragraphs and they keep on reading. That is not a PhD presentation, a research presentation. A research presentation is, you should have that kind of a confidence. You should have, for example, today I am able to speak almost 1.5 hours without anything because whatever I have been practicing, whatever I have been telling my scholars, I am telling you, nothing more. This is what I tell in my class, PhD scholars class, first few classes. First few 10-15 classes, I keep on telling only this content. That is where, they are motivated to do good research. So research is full of motivation and enthusiasm. You need to have that enthusiasm, but unfortunately, if you draw the graph, when you take the admission, your enthusiasm is at peak. Now today, if I look at, it is at bottom. So it's gone. And it keep on extending. And finally, you submit something. Right. So now don't look for your supervisor approval, don't look for your university approval. You should have that kind of a benchmark. Unless my thesis reaches this benchmark, I will not submit. That is what is very, very important. But just don't submit the thesis for the sake of quick submission. You get your PhD 1 year before. Then what do? You have to be unemployed for the rest of your life. Rather, you take 2 years time and immediately you get employment. So finally, you have to use this particular thesis or research as a vehicle for your progression. Vehicle for your progression, career progression. We have to use this as a career progression tool. And the statistical tools, the latest tools in our, if you look at 2022 research paper in our area, what are the tools they have used? You start learning them now. I have one scholar by name Bharat Shashanka. He is from Karimnagar. He did his MBA from affiliated college and he got JRF and he joined for me with PhD. He joined for PhD in 2014. And he used to have this habit of, reviewing the research papers and latest techniques, whatever are there, keep on learning them through YouTube. In that process, he found some technique called multi-level modeling, MLM. This is very advanced concept. So he learned that technique and he was in contact with the person who proposed that particular technique through mail. And he has become like a student, remote student of that guru. So because of that, he was able to publish good papers. Then today he is in IIM Shillong. But he did his degree from Karimnagar, MBA from affiliated college. But it's only a kind of a self-motivation. So it is possible. It is possible. Don't worry about the institution where you are doing. The people coming from premier institutions without publications, we reject them. People coming from ordinary universities but good publication, good knowledge, good communication skills, we recruit them. So it is not going to make much difference. But maybe they have an advantage that there is some goodwill. That goodwill will be there only for first 2 minutes. You are coming from premier institution. Once you start speaking, all myths will go, negative or positive. So they may have very low expectation, but suddenly they realize you are somebody. But they have high expectations, suddenly they realize you are hopeless. So don't go by that brand. Brand up to some extent it will help, but the brand cannot sustain you for a long, unless you have your own originality. So methodology is another important aspect. Then data analysis and interpretation. Once you have statistical knowledge, tomorrow again I am going to come. I am going to deliver about, I think, madam, I need a laptop here so that I can use some data analysis. Yeah, fine. Data analysis tomorrow. I am going to give you some tools starting from Excel, SPSS, Jamovi, Blue Sky. There are 4 softwares. Let me see, in 1.5 hour, I try to tell you how these softwares can be used. Or mostly Excel and SPSS I can do. If time permits, I can go for other 2. But otherwise, I'll tell you that, how we can analyze the data, how comfortable it is, how user-friendly those softwares are. Once you learn them, I think you will be addicted to them. Then tomorrow you become masters in that and you become an expert in data analysis. So try to get some skills out of research program. Some skills. So that's why data analysis tools, software tools, we need to learn. Then more than anything, the writing skills. This is very, very important. The articulation. Academic writing is different from creative writing. So academic writing is very, very critical. So academic writing will come through practice, through reading more and more papers, and writing, rewriting will improve your writing skills. So at the end of the day, I think there are some software like Grammarly. There is a software called Grammarly, but you may not be able to use it without subscription. So you have to pay some money, then you can get the subscription. Then once you make a document, you upload it into that and you can see, but don't blindly accept whatever suggestions given by it. But it will give you an idea that articles, sentence construction, because we are mostly what happens for us is we think in Telugu, write in English. then obviously, writing style may not be matching with the native English writers. So the Grammarly is a software we have, and there are some other softwares. And also the plagiarism and academic honesty also, sometimes what happens, your proposals also, I think in this university they are not doing. Your proposal what you submit to the school department, they will ask you to submit the soft copy. That soft copy they run through the plagiarism software. If your proposal itself is 90% plagiarized, what kind of thesis you will do? So that means even before you make the proposal, you have to run your plagiarism through that proposal through plagiarism software. Then you can see that, knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally, unintentionally, you have copied. Then you can go back and correct it. Because in the entire research process, ethics and integrity and honesty, academic honesty, integrity, academic integrity and ethics, they are very important. So otherwise, if you today you can survive. You can survive from all this, whatever mandates of UGC. But tomorrow, your thesis is going to be there in Shodhganga. Anybody else can run plagiarism check on that. Then they say that, tomorrow you go for a job and you get selected, somebody brings the plagiarism report and complaint. So this person got PhD with 80% plagiarism similarity index. Gone. So today, you think, it's working out. But in the long term, there will be an issue. So now think, today, we have a lot of technology. You have a lot of technology to do good research, lot of technology to detect unethical practices. Now there are some Western universities also developing a software. If you use ChatGPT for your thesis writing, they are now developing a software to predict, to know that, to identify, to detect whether it is original or ChatGPT text. So ChatGPT is one innovation. To detect ChatGPT text, somebody is finding out another software. And there is a paraphrasing software. But there is another software available to see whether it is original or paraphrased technique. So there are a lot of things are available today. So even if you make a mistake, this easily one can detect the mistake. So that does not get into such unhealthy practices. That is more important. Getting PhD, not PhD is secondary, but reputation and credibility is very important. So let us not get into this unethical practices. Taking help from somebody, I don't mind. But you learn. Whatever word you write in your thesis, you are answerable. There is some word appears and I ask what it is, I don't know, sir. Let us not have such embarrassment. In every entire thesis, proposal, whatever you write, you are answerable and you should know everything about it. There are mathematical formulas and use that formula and do that. Yeah, there is a formula. There are some 2, 3, 4 formulas. Use 2, 3, 4 formulas and get the sample, and out of them which is the largest, that satisfies all the criteria. The second criteria is refer to the earlier researchers. For example, in the same area, some 15, 20, 30 people must have done in research in that area. What are their sample sizes? Based on that, you choose one sample size so that you can justify that the earlier researchers also did research by using or maybe there are some publications, research publications on that area. So how much sample size they have taken? You take that sample size. That is what it is. I think we have taken some 10, 20, 30. There are several criteria. For example, if you are using multiple regression, that says, multiple regression says each independent variable should have a minimum number of samples. So multiplied by this number multiplied by number of independent variables. Or you are using factor analysis. So every item in the scale, for example, there are 22 item scale. So each item should have at least 10. So 22 into 10, 220. Sometimes based on the tool also, we may have to decide the sample size. The tool demands. Tool demands that, for example, if you go for chi-square, they say the minimum cell value is 5 in the cross tabulation. So now you have to see that, for which kind of a sample, I think, I'm going to get a minimum 5 in the sample size, in the cell, in the cross tabulation cell. So not one single technique is sufficient. I think, you need to give some 4, 5, 6 justifications for your sample size. Then only your sample size is more authentic. Okay? Yeah. So I will start with, now it is 12:45. So I am supposed to close at 1:45, but I can go up to 2 2 o'clock I can close. I have a meeting at 2:30 in city. So it may take half an hour for me to move from here to there. So up to 2 o'clock we can go. So I try to do two things. One is Excel and second one is SPSS. Both I will do. And if time permits, I will speak about Jamovi and Blue Sky. Jamovi and Blue Sky. There are two other softwares. So let me share my screen. ఏంటండి ఏం లేదండి మైనర్ రీసెర్చ్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ మేజర్ రీసెర్చ్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ based on the problem. Now, what sample size can give you the full picture of the population, that is our sample size. And it also depends on your scope of the study. What is our scope? So is the district is your scope, or state is your scope, or city is your scope? It also depends on the population of the city population. That is also important. Okay, but in general what we expect is based on different kinds of formulae. 400 sample is minimum required for population size of more than 10 lakhs. That is one general rule of thumb. That is where if you look at 1970s, 80s, 90s dissertations, go to Usmania, Kakatiya, look at the older dissertations, majority of them have taken sample size as 400. Because there is a paper, research paper published in the year 1971, Kresis and Morgan, that was published in educational psychology. So they have given some kind of a table and they have given some kind of a formula. The table says more than 10 lakhs, 384 is the sample size required. So that is where the 384 people have rounded it off to 400. So for all practical purposes, I think if it is major research or minor research or PhD, whatever, minimum 400 is expected. Minimum 400 is expected. Beyond 400, it's up to you. Some of my scholars did PhD with 2,800 samples, 2,600 samples. It varies. It all depends on your, more the sample size, definitely more the authentication of the results. See, for example, take this particular group, speaking to 2 people versus speaking to 10 people. Obviously, it makes a lot of difference. So about the program feedback, this training program, whatever you have, I wanted to have this training program. So speaking to 2 people and speaking to 20 people, definitely, ideally speaking to everybody is going to give me the absolute information. But since it is only a sizable number, I can do that. But when I go for a larger population, it is impossible to do the whole population. Then I have to go for the sample. Then the question is, what would be the sample size? Okay. So I think this is the Excel sheet I have opened. This is the Excel sheet I have opened. Now, yeah. Yes, I think this now you can see now. So for example, now you have identified the problem, you have written the proposal, then you have presented the proposal to the university. University has accepted. Then in the proposal you have spoken about your research methodology, data collection techniques, sample size. Then also you have agreed upon the questionnaire. Then once you made the questionnaire and you have conducted a survey. The survey is on 400 people, 600 people, 800 people. Then the survey, whatever you have got, you have entered into Excel like this. So for example, here the first one is what do you say? First column, what do we say in the questionnaire? In social science research questionnaire, even some education faculty are sitting here. In education also, we have to conduct some surveys on the communication skills, language skills, writing skills, listening skills, whatever. So we need to get some kind of data. Okay. Or education people may do something on their achievement. Psychology people can do on their achievement levels. Or emotional intelligence, self-efficacy, stress management, whatever. There is a questionnaire and we get the data. So the data is captured in the questionnaire form. About 300 to 400, 600, 700 samples are there. Now my question is, once you have the data, you have to enter the data. So the first one, what do I do is ID number. This is very important. So whatever questionnaire you are filling the data, on the each questionnaire you can give the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to 400. So that what happens is tomorrow when there is a problem, you can refer back to that particular questionnaire and cross check the figures. So ID number. The name of the person is not necessary because name is, we are not going to do anything. The next one is age of the person. The next one is sex. Next one is what else? Tell me, give me some 10 demographic variables. Social status, caste. Next, income. Next, education. Okay. Marital status. Okay, next. Experience. Socio-economic conditions, but how do you quantify it? Already social background I have captured, income you have captured. So combining those two, it is socio-economic. We cannot have as a one variable as for socio-economic. Social background and economic background. Then experience. What else? Profession. Okay. Profession. Next. Size of the family. Family size. Right? Family size.
Or type of the family, like nuclear or
What is that?
type of the family.
Okay. Giant family. Nuclear family. Okay. Fine. Next. Nationality, I think our studies are only in Hyderabad, Telangana, so I am not putting. Otherwise, that is one variable. Yeah, if you wanted to tell me the state which they belong to, state of domicile, mother tongue we can speak. Okay, then the educational background of the parent, mother education background, father educational background. Sometimes, that also matters when you are looking at the scholastic achievement of the student. Then definitely the parental education also makes lot of difference. Then that particular respondent, if it is education thesis, we would like to look at their 10th class percentage, intermediate percentage, degree percentage, PG percentage. We would like to write down. Right, like that, you have a lot of variables. Then with those variables, we have the data entered. Once data is entered, then the next one is analysis. But right now I cannot enter data for 400 sample here. So I need to make some ready-made data set. For which what you can do, go to Google. Now I am typing something called Kaggle. 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 This is a data science company. Kaggle. 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 So it has Kaggle. Kaggle. You can see Kaggle. Machine learning and data science community. So I am opening. Then here, I need to look at the data. Data sets. Here, top. Data sets. Here data sets, trending data sets, if you look at, this is all real-time data. This agency captures real-time data. So here coffee quality data, best video games, non-alcoholic fatty liver, world GDP growth, music, business, computer science, classification, bank customer churn, university students complaints and reports, car acceptability, like that, standardized testing, CBSE class 10 result data, data set for advanced data analysis in New York City SAT results, like that, we have so many things. So let me choose one data set, I think, which is little bit familiar to all of us. education. Let me choose education. Student exam scores, extended data sheet, suicide attempts in China. Okay. So student exam scores. These data sets are fictional and should be used for educational purpose only. Gender, ethnic group, parent education, lunch time, lunch type, and other things are given. So now I am going to download this particular. It is a free software, but only thing is you may have to sign in with your Google. With your Google.
Sign in means will it ask us to give the username and all?
Nothing. If you Google, if you type your Google ID, then they will identify that you are not a robo. That is basically. So now I have opened that file. So now I will again share that data screen. Yeah. Share. So this is my data file. This is my data file. Like that, we have a lot of data files with 5 lakh data sets, 2 lakh data sets, 10 lakh data sets, especially when we teach business analytics to our students. We use these data sets of 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs data samples, so that we can show them how data can be analyzed with the large samples. Okay. But here, if you look at that, the data is mostly quantitative. Some is qualitative, some is quantitative. So let me select this data. Let me select this data. 1, gender 2, ethnic group 3, marital status. Okay. Then I think let me go for
Education qualification.
yeah, educational qualification is also given qualitative. High school, there are several categories, but I am only selecting some part of it. So now just I open another file. So in this data now I have just the important data I have taken. So now you can see. So they have started ID number, I told you, they have started with 0, but ID number usually starts with 1. ID number starts with 1. So let me type 1 and 2, select these two and click here. So automatically it has copied, control, end. So my sample size is 30,641. That is the sample size. 30,000 samples is available now. 30,000. Okay. So with this now I am going to make some simple analysis. How we can do the analysis. So this is only matter of adding the columns. A matter of adding the columns. I think I am doing with some 6-7 columns. But if you want, you can add more number of columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So ID number is here. Gender, ethnic group, parents, marital status, the math score. Yeah, we can keep on adding those columns, whatever you want. But once you know this analysis, it is fine. So this is gender, female, ethnic group. Ethnic group, here, I don't know, if I click this, 28,802. That means there are so many blanks. So see, people have not mentioned their ethnic group. This is also sometimes is optional. Even always you remember when you are going for social science research, you may have to respect their sentiment. If somebody says, I don't want to reveal my caste, keep it blank. Sometimes female respondents say that I don't want to reveal my marital status. Fine. Somebody says, I don't want to reveal my income. Fine. And sometimes you would like to ask, do you smoke? Somebody says, I don't want to reveal my smoking status. Fine. So in those cases, you have to leave it blank. Later it's up to you whether you are going to use the data or not. If you have difficulty, just don't go use it. But if it doesn't matter, you can do that. Or even for that particular variable, you have lesser frequency. For others, you have 30,000, but for that particular variable, you have 27, 28,000. Now you can say identity not displayed. People are not responded, not interested to respond. Something like that, you can create that column. That also gives some kind of an idea about the data. That is possible. So now we have this data. Just I have taken ID number, gender, ethnic group, parents' marital status. So you know that this is a Western data. So usually in our situation, parents are married, then children will be there. But here, without marriage also children can be there. No, it's a single. But somebody is single, but still they can have child. So it is single. Then married, widowed. Somebody who is just kept blank, so that they don't want to reveal the status. Single, divorced, married, single, divorced, married, and so on. So this is the data given to you. Now you tell me, as a researcher, what kind of analysis you would like to do with this data. I have 30,000 students data with me. 30,000 students data with me. And what kind of analysis we can do with this? What kind of analysis we would like to do with this? So just you have entered the data. Now you tell me the required output. I will show you how to analyze the data and give the required output. Yes? Percentages of what? Percentages of what? The first thing is, the size of the sample. Assuming that this is the size of the sample, just if I click here, at the bottom you can see here, the numbers are given. Average is given, count is given, numerical count is given, maximum is 30,641 number is there. Otherwise, if you come to here and control and down arrow, if you press, you go to the last row. So now it is clear that your sample size is 30,641. Then control and up arrow, you go to the first row. The second thing is how many male are there, how many female are there. This is what I wanted to know. How many male are there, how many female are there. Ethnic group also, how many are with A group, how many are with B group, how many are with C group. That is ethnic group. The third one is marital status, individual frequencies. Then the mathematics score, reading score, writing score, I will come to little later, but let me look at categorical variables. There are 3 categorical variables: gender, ethnic group, and parental marital status. These are the 3 qualitative variables or categorical variables we have. The first thing what I am going to do is look at the gender, for which what I am now trying to do, Control A. Control A. If you press Control A, the whole sheet is selected. Control A. The whole sheet is selected. Then go to Insert. Here top. Insert. Here we have pivot table. The first one. Pivot table. Pivot table. So the data is selected. New worksheet. Yeah. You get this kind of yes. So here you can see that gender, for example gender I am now putting in the row. Yeah, you can see now. When just I have dragged gender. Now how many are there? That is what I wanted to know. You just use some reference number. That ideally I use ID number. ID number I am putting here. ID number. Just I dragged into values here. Values. At bottom values I dragged. But my numbers are, I know my sample size 30,000, but my numbers are 46, 94, 57, 61. The reason is, at the top, sum of the ID numbers. It has given sum, but I don't want sum. I want count, for which I can come to this values here, bottom. Here value field settings, instead of sum, say count. This is my sample size. So female 15,424, male 15,217, grand total 30,641. Now if I wanted to know the percentage, you know the formula, that into 100, female into 100 by 50.33. 50.33. So here again 15,217 into 100 by 49.66 percentage. 49.66%. So this is a male and female data. Male and female data. So what else you require? Ethnic background. Now ethnic background I am bringing here. 30,641, Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, Group E, and 1840 is blank. Then if you want to have percentages, again you mention this 22 into 100 divided by 30,641. 7% of the respondents are coming from this Group A. The problem is the numerator is fixed. That is where everywhere it is showing 7.24. But if I wanted to use this 58.26 here, 58.26 into 100 by, like that just you calculate the percentages. Total in the denominator, the interested thing in the numerator into 100. So you get the percentages. So now you can say that Group A percentage, Group B percentage, Group C percentage. You have this data. This is your ethnicity. Parents' marital status, bring here. 4,919 divorced, married 16,844, single 7,097, widowed 591, and blank 1190 people have not disclosed their marital status. So collect the data, enter the data in Excel, and make this kind of a simple analysis. This is about the single variable. Now I wanted to go with the cross tabulation. Ethnic group here, ethnic group, gender here. Now you can see this is a cross tabulated data. Just I have to drag. Row is ethnic group, column is gender. So I have just dragged it. So here we have ethnic groups and we have the gender. And if I wanted to avoid gender, then marital status, parents' marital status. So group A, group B, group C, divorced, married, single, widowed, blank. So this data is mentioned here. If I click that particular thing, that separate data, that data has come here. You can see in a separate Excel sheet. ID numbers, gender, only that data got separated. Whichever data you want, you go and click on that number. For example, I wanted to know here, who is this 1361 people with the group B and single. Double click. So the data got separated out of 30,000. So it in a separate Excel sheet. If you wanted to just separate and do some analysis on that, you can do this. And on this data again you can do some statistical analysis. So this is further you are separating. You can choose the combinations and capture the data. Okay. This is the data. Okay. This is all about for example, if I go to sheet 2, sheet 1, as I told you, control A, insert pivot table, new. So here you want to have ethnic group here, you wanted to have marital status here, and you wanted to have gender here. You can see now within that particular category again we have male female separate. So now again take the ID number, put here, again it is sum of the ID numbers, field settings, count. So this also further detail within diverse, how many male are there, how many female are there. So that kind of a classification also we can bring. from 30,000 sample. So you are able to do that. If I wanted to have list of these 371 people who are group A, diversity female, diversity female, this data got separated. This data got separated. So whatever analysis you want, you can, that means you can separate the data. Whichever format you want, you can separate the data. Okay, this is my kind of a categorical data analysis. Categorical data analysis. The next issue is you have quantitative data. The student marks are given. Maths, reading score, writing score are given. So with this data, what are we going to do now? You tell me. The scores are given. 30,000 students, math score, reading score and writing score are given. What kind of analysis would like to go ahead? What kind of analysis you will do? Gender relationship with marks. Okay. What is that you wanted to see? Correlation. But the problem with the correlation is correlation can be done between two quantitative variables. But here one is a qualitative variable. Gender is a qualitative variable. Performance is a quantitative variable. So we would like to have two quantitative variables for correlation. So for example, maths and reading score correlation. Reading score and writing score correlation. Somebody who is good at reading but writing they may be poor. So, or there is a relationship between these two. Science marks, maths marks. Would like to find the correlation. So when you have such kind of a data, we can find the correlation. Correlation is possible when we have two sets of quantitative data.
Only with the number that we
Yeah, quantitative data. Only with the numbers only we can do the, otherwise you may have to take the percentage. So now, what we can do now, we would like to make some frequency analysis. Frequency analysis, we can do that. Copy. So now I am separating these three. Only these three things I am separating. Okay. Math score, reading score, writing score. So what is that you wanted to do now? You wanted to know the mean score. Mean score you want. Mean math score. Then minimum math score, maximum math score, median math score, mode of the math score, standard deviation of the modes math score. Like that, I wanted to have the data. For which, actually in Excel we have individual functions. In Excel we have individual functions. But instead of going for individual functions, there is a application called, here top I am clicking data. And right hand side corner something called data analysis. Data analysis. In data analysis, you can see all our statistical techniques are given here. Exponential smoothing that we use in ANOVA, single factor, ANOVA two factor, ANOVA two factor without replication, correlation, covariance, descriptive statistics, exponential smoothing, F-test, Fourier transforms, histogram, moving average, random number generation, rank and percentile, regression, sampling, t-test, paired two sample, t-test two sample. All the statistical tests are available here. So here I wanted to have the descriptive statistics. I am clicking descriptive statistics. So it is asking input range A1, that is the first row, A1. A1 to C, some 30,000 plus I have, some I am making some 31,000. Even if I keep more, doesn't matter, 31,000. Labels in first row, I have to check this box. Labels in the sense headings in the first row. Output range, here I will give some number. Summary of statistics I want. So now you can see it has given mean, standard error, median, mode, standard deviation, standard sample variance, kurtosis, skewness, range, minimum, maximum, sum, count. It has given for all the three variables. So we need to do little bit of editing. So you just cut here and you paste here. Then reading score, you cut here because there are, for every variable, they have mentioned these statistical terms. You delete this. Writing score, copy, paste here. Yes. So math score, reading score, writing score, and I don't want these many decimals values, so I'm reducing. So now math score 66, reading score 69, writing score 68, averages. Standard error is given, median is given 67, 70, 69. Mode is given 64, 65, 67. So here also I would like to reduce the number of decimals. Yeah. Standard deviation, sample variance, kurtosis, skewness, range, maximum to minimum difference. Because 100 minus 0, 100 minus 10, 100 minus 4. So you are able to get everything at one go. That is data analysis. Data analysis, under data analysis we are using descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics. This is what we can do. So all statistics, we are getting at one go. All descriptive statistics. Even it would be 20 columns. I get 20 columns here with a single click. With one click I get all this out. Mean, standard error, median, mode, standard deviation, maxima, minima, range. Everything I am going to get. Sum is also there, no? Yeah, sum is also there. Sum, count, everything is there. Marks, age, income. Sometimes, when you are taking the data for the employees, distance from work to home, office to home, distance. Mode of transport, that is again quantitative, mode of transport. Or how much money you spend on travel, that is again quantitative. Size of the family, average size of the family, that is quantitative. Average size of the family, quantitative. Right, income is quantitative, height is quantitative, weight is quantitative, IQ is quantitative. If you have, as long as you have these numbers. Or sometimes, we do some kind of a scaling, Likert scale, 5-point scale, strongly agree, strongly disagree. That is also numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many 1s are there, how many 2s are there, how many 3s are there, how many 4s are there, frequency. Average for out of all 5, average, 3.5, 3.6. Anything we can do with this simple Excel function. Okay. Now, yes, madam.
How do we interpret this results?
Interpretation of the results, you can say, you can write down mean is 66.56, but unfortunately here they are randomly generated number. That is where it is not original data. Everything is looking same. Otherwise, what is more, one is less, one is medium. Out of 100, the score is for out of 100, 66%, 69%, 68%. The similar way, medians, 50% of them are below 67, above 67. Like that, you try to write down the interpretation. So that is what we are going to describe about this. Why it is the next question. Why it is the next question. For example, whether it depends on some quantitative variable, for example, gender versus score. I wanted to see gender versus score. Now it is overall. But now male and female, male average and female average I would like to see. Or ethnic group versus the averages. Whether these averages are varying from ethnic group to ethnic group. This is also next question. So because in general, when you are making some analysis, is there any relationship between social background, ethnical background and academic performance? Gender and academic performance. You would like to do that. So then, the place which they belong to, you can do that. Or their mode of education, medium of instruction, mother tongue and non-mother tongue, whether is there any relationship. Parental education, whether it is parents are educated, their average, parents are not educated, their average. Now we would like to make a comparison. Parents are educated, parents are not educated, whether the averages are differing or same. So we can make into kind of varieties of things based on this particular information you would like to see. So whether parental background is good. Even I can go ahead with the parental background also, whether they are maths or science. Then father is maths, mother is also maths, the son's score in maths. Is there any relationship? So if you are able to capture that information, and working parent, both are working, only one is working, two of them are not working, it's fine. And mother is housewife, but she is an educated housewife or uneducated housewife. There are some mothers, they are educated, but they have decided to take care of children. They have decided not to go for the job. But mother is educated, but mother is employed. Then I think, it is as good as mother is not educated. In the sense, she is always not available for the child. Sometimes it also happens. And nature of the work, whether the work is 10 to 5 job or shift job. The shift job is also matters. The child comes at 5 o'clock, but mother is still in the office. That's also possible. So there are several things, whether mother and father have vacation job or non-vacation job. I think, simple academic performance, I can give you 100 variables. What will affect the nature of the school? All of them are not from same school. So government owned school, private school, aided school, Christian school, minority school, residential school, Navodaya school. And again mode of board, variety of the board, it is CBSE, SSC, ICSE, international board. Like that, I can again look at the difference. And again I can make further classification. And also income group of the family versus child performance. More income, whether child performance, is any correlation between these two. See, the parents are highly, I think, having higher incomes than children performance. Parents are having less income, children performance, whether these two are related or not. Even I can go one step further, rural, urban. Rural students' performance, urban students' performance. And they have studied single school or moved from multiple schools. I think when 10 years of their school education, they were in the same school or moved from one school to other school. And also medium of change, instruction, medium. Like that I can keep on adding the questions and capture the data and make the analysis. So this is going to give us a lot of insights. For example, their maths, reading, writing scores are given. And the qualifications of the teacher, experience of the teacher. That also makes a lot of difference. And workload of the teacher. The teacher has more workload. I think they may not be able to find time to correct. But teacher is having only 50% of the time teaching. 50% of the time teacher can spend on correcting the assignments. Is also possible. So all this information can be captured and make the analysis. So simple cross tabulations we can make, and you keep on getting the data. This is the first part. The second part is inferential statistics, and we are going to make hypothesis. And based on that hypothesis, I would like to test whether the gender is making any difference in academic performance. But those things, you require little more of learning. Excel is more important, and more than anything, learning statistics are equally important. So without knowing statistics, simply knowing the output will not help you. So learn statistics, learn softwares. Both are important. So for example, the same data I will export into SPSS. And SPSS is more user friendly when compared to Excel. Excel I was making a lot of adjustments and writing down the range and everything. But in SPSS, if I upload the same data, so this is my data, copy. So I'll go to my SPSS file, IBM SPSS 24. IBM SPSS 24, just I have opened it. Stop share. On data set IBM SPSS. Share. So this is also looking like Excel sheet. This is SPSS blank data sheet. Statistical package for social sciences, and it is subsequently acquired by IBM. So this is known as IBM SPSS. So this is my software. So here I will paste my data. So just I have pasted the data, Excel data in SPSS. But only the issue is, that earlier, I was writing headings in the first row, but here headings are written separately. Variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, variable 4. Okay. View font. What is the shortcut for the zoom? Control? Shortcut for zoom. I think I wanted to just increase the screen size. Huh? Control plus. Control plus. No. Control plus. Wait.
షేరింగ్ రావట్లేదు
షేరింగ్ రావట్లేదు.
షేరింగ్లో తీసుకోవాలి
ఓకే, షేరింగ్లో ప్రాబ్లం ఉందట.
అంటే జూమ్లో నుంచి
జూమ్లో చేసేటప్పుడు దెర్ ఇస్ ఎ ప్రాబ్లం. లేకపోతే అంటే మీకు కనిపిస్తుందో లేదో నేను. సో హియర్ we have variable 1, variable 2, variable 3, variable 4, variable 5, variable 6, variable 7. So what is variable 1? ID number. Here variable 1 is, I am now writing ID number. ID number. The second one, gender. Second one is gender. This is, you can see there are two, like in Excel we have worksheets. Here we have two worksheets. The bottom, data view, variable view. Data view, variable view. Data and variable view. The third one is ethnic group. Ethnic. Ethnic group. So ethnic group. So it says no space. Okay. Ethnicity also we can write. The next one is parental marital status. Okay. The next one is maths, reading, writing. Maths, reading, writing. Okay, maths, reading and writing. Okay. So now we have to define. Now let me remove the first row. It is like Excel only. Clear? Yeah. So ID numbers are given. There is no need to have ID number here. Or if you want, you can keep it ID number. Later, if you do some manipulations, it is possible to get back your original data. Always keep the ID number. Sometimes we do that jumbling, ascending order, descending order, maxima, minima. After finding out again, if you wanted to get back to the data, use ID number and sort the data according to the ID number. It will do. Okay. So this is there, and now the female, married, maths, reading, writing. Okay, fine. So here everything is shown as a string. String means a text, so you have to change. The first one is ID number is a number, so that is you can say numeric. And width is how many digits? 6 digits you can keep. Okay. Gender is given also as a string, so it is a string, male, female, fine. Ethnic group, this is also group A, group B, group C. String is fine. Or if you want to increase the number, you can increase 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Marital status, it is also string. Marital status also string. So married, single, unmarried, fine. The next, maths is the number, numeric. The width is only 2 digits, but I can keep 3 digits. Yeah, 71. This is the number now. And reading also, it is numeric. It is 3 digits. 3 digits. And writing also numeric, 3 digits. Okay. So this is the data. So ID numbers are there, gender, ethnicity, marital status, maths, reading score, writing score. These are the 3 columns quantitative, 3 columns qualitative, one column serial number, ID number. Now in the top I have something called analyze. Analyze descriptive statistics. I can go for frequencies. So gender you want a frequency, ethnic group I want a frequency, marital status I want frequency. Okay, what is that you want? The nothing here because this is quantitative. Say okay. You are getting your output like this. So again I have to stop, then share, the screen, output untitled, yeah. So this is the output I got. Frequencies 30,641, gender female, male, frequency, percentage, cumulative percentage. So you can take that. Ethnicity A, B, C, D, E, frequency is given, percentage is given. Then marital status, is also given here. Diverse frequency, percentage, valid percentage, and cumulative. The blank is missing, no data available. Wherever you have blank, it is no data available. So you can copy it and paste in a word and you make the interpretation. So when compared to Excel, this is more user friendly. So straight away just you have to select that variable, it will give the output. So if I go to analyze descriptive statistics, here descriptives. So there I have maths, reading, and maths you keep here, reading you keep here, writing you keep here. Options, what is that you want? Mean I want, sum I want, standard deviation, variance, range. I have to check these boxes, skewness, kurtosis. So whatever we got earlier. So now you can see the output. So descriptive statistics, maths, reading, writing, they have given full data. First is n, total number, range, minimum, maximum, sum, mean and standard error, standard deviation, variance, skewness, kurtosis. Everything is mentioned. Just you have to click, that's it, not more. The only thing is the preparation of the data is little important. Once you prepare the data, you can make any analysis. Clear? Yes, madam. Any questions?
This part is clear, sir, but I have 2 questions.
Yeah, please.
When do we use chi-square, sir?
Yeah, I'll show you. So now I go to analyze descriptive statistics. Here we have cross tabulation. So now I would like to see the ethnicity and marital status. See, for example, today morning I have seen Supreme Court making a comment about there are more diverse cases are coming from love marriages. So today Supreme Court made a comment on it. So all these days people have been speaking informally, but Supreme Court today, based on their experience, their data. So for every second case or third case, they are finding only love marriage cases are coming to Supreme Court. We are not getting into the details, but now like this, whether divorces are more in love marriages or arranged marriages. If I wanted to have a cross tabulation, I can have the data, cross tabulation data. So here left side I can take arranged marriage and love marriage. The right side I can keep they are diverse, no diverse. I can take some 1,000 couples, 2,000 couples. Then I would like to see who got married in between this year to this year. Then I will take their current marital condition. They got married during 1990-95 period. Today I am now going to look at out of them how many are still with their partner, how many of them are separated. Then I go back and ask them how many of them have had a love marriage and arranged marriage. This is a cross tabulation. So what is the null hypothesis says? The diverse status is independent of nature of marriage. There is no relationship between nature of the marriage and diverse. The alternate hypothesis says there is a relationship between these two variables, for which I need to do chi-square test. The chi-square test will be done for cross-tabulated data, number one. Two categorical variables, when we have at least one categorical variable, because why I am saying one categorical variable, for example, if I am taking income is not a categorical variable, it is a continuous variable. But that also I will convert into categorical variable like low income, moderated income and high income. Then that becomes categorical. But otherwise it is only income is a continuous variable. We have just figures, numbers. But that I am now trying to convert into three categories: moderate income, middle and high and low. So that is where I would like to make an analysis. So now here I would like to look at this particular thing, that is ethnicity and marital status. For example, in a particular communities, divorces are more, for example. I would like to establish, or it is independent of communities. Whatever ethnicity background you have, divorces are common. Right. But if you look at our society, in our Indian context, if you would like to look at the social background of the individual and the diverse status, in which category, forward caste, backward caste, scheduled tribe or minority, if you wanted to categorize, and in which category diverses are more, or urban, rural and diverse and non-diverse, or you can also say high income group, moderate income group, low income group and diverse, no diverse. So diverse and no diverse is one variable, that is a dependent variable. The independent variables I can take anything, or sometimes I can say joint family and a nucleus family. That also sometimes a cause for diverse. That is also very recently the Supreme Court also saying that the one person went to the court and saying that my wife is not willing to stay with my parents, so she is asking for divorce. Then court has to tell that the parents had to stay with the children. So that's what the court had to say. But sometimes the joint family could be the reason for divorce. So now I would like to see among the divorcees and non-divorcees, how many of them are from joint families. So all this is cross-tabulated data. So I can take such kind of a cross-tabulated data, and I would like to do that. So here ethnicity, and I have selected row. Then I go for statistics. Here on the top chi-square is there. I have to select chi-square. That means I am using chi-square test. Now I say continue, say OK. Now it says it's a cross-tabulation data, group A, group B, group C, and diverse, married, no information, diverse, married, single, widowed, total. The chi-square result says the significance value is 0.312, that is 31.2%. So 31.2% is more than 5%. If it is less than 5% only, you have to reject null hypothesis. It is more than 5%, don't reject null hypothesis. So my conclusion here is the diverse status or marital status, whatever, is independent of the ethnicity. That is the conclusion I am making. The ethnicity is, the diverse or marital status is independent of the ethnicity. But had it been less than 0.05, I would have said in a particular ethnicity, I think there is a relationship between these two. Then I go for some analysis and say in which ethnic group, there are more diverse. I think today, if you look at the newspapers, I think that the diverses are more in celebrities' families. This is one general understanding. But if you statistically test it, how many celebrities are there and how many are getting diverse, percentage wise. In normal non-celebrities also, how many are getting married, how many are getting diverse. Then if you take the statistics, maybe our assumption could be wrong. Because what happens is, one single divorce of two film stars continuously for the last 3-4 years they have been speaking, then we are under the impression that they are more in, may not be true, statistically it may not be significant, but in general you may think, it is more. For example, who will make more accidents, male drivers or female drivers? Male drivers make more accidents than female drivers, but the general perception is, the female drivers are poor drivers, which is wrong. But if you go by statistics, most of the accidents are made by male. I don't think, hardly I see any female driver made an accident and somebody died out of that accident. Hardly we see but our general impression is the female are not good at driving. That is a general stereotyping. But statistically, if you go to Cyberabad Commissionerate or Hyderabad Traffic Police and get the statistics and do such kind of a data analysis, chi-square test, the null hypothesis says there is no relationship between driving skills and gender. There may be poor male drivers, there may be efficient female drivers. Possible. So, null hypothesis says there is no relationship between gender and driving skill. The alternate hypothesis or research hypothesis says there is a relationship between these two. Then I will take the data, male and female, and accidents made. 0 accidents, 1 accident, 2 accident, 3 accident, 4 accident. I can make cross-tabulated data and I will see. And I will find more males are involved in accidents, not females. But unfortunately, we go by impression. But statistically, it may not be significant. Because the data says something different. That is where because also this particular hypothesis is important because you are studying the sample and generalizing these findings to the population. So that's where, because whether on the sample it may appear that, it may be more. But when I am extrapolating the sample data to the population, this may not be that significant. This is what I think you need to understand. That is the reason why we use the word significant difference. Whether it is significant enough to say that, for example, you take male-female academic performance. Somebody got 51%, somebody got 52%. The difference is only 1%. This 1% is sufficient enough to say that, a particular gender is better than other gender. This is sample. But when I am extrapolating to the population of 1 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakhs, whether this 1% difference holds good to generalize that there is a difference between these two. In absolute terms, yes, 1% is there. But when you are extrapolating, this 1% may be insignificant. So that means there is no statistical evidence to prove that there is a difference between both the genders. Same is the case with social backgrounds. So we are trying to look at two categorical variables, 0.312.
What is the significance of ANOVA and MANOVA test?
ANOVA is more than 2 groups. So now, right now we are in cross tabulation, but when you are going for the means, when I am going for the means, for example, male and female, I'll show you since you have asked that question. Analyze, compare means. In compare means, independent samples t-test. So now I can say you wanted to see the math score and gender. So I think I'm now looking at maths. There is also general impression that, which gender is good at maths, male or female. So general impression is boys are good at maths. That is the general impression. The people also substantiate that with most of the IIT toppers are boys and medical toppers are girls. If you look at and also if you look at our results also, the board exam results topped by the girls, entrance exam results are topped by the boys. I think if you see the pattern for the last 10-15 years, the pattern if you look at, you can see that. And medical toppers mostly the girls, boys would be very little out of 10. But IIT toppers, if you look at all boys photos, you will see. But only by looking at 10 toppers I cannot conclude. I have to see some 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, not only for 1 year, I have to see for several years. Then only I can make a conclusion that who is good or who is bad. So for example, now I am testing the hypothesis that the mathematics performance is independent of gender or dependent of gender. The null hypothesis says there is no relationship between both boys and girls in terms of their mathematics performance. The alternate hypothesis says there is a significant difference between both the genders related to mathematics performance. So I am now trying to test the hypothesis. So I said the mass score I have taken. The grouping variables are, so you know the grouping variables are, my data set says define groups. Group 1 is for example female. The group 2 I am saying male. But one can ask me, why did you take group 1 female, why not male? Yes? Yes, please? Anyone. But in general, if you ask system to do that, system also sometimes do auto recoding. What system will do? Auto coding, auto recoding. What system will do? Alphabetically F comes before M. The first number it will give to F. So if it is 0, 1, it will give 0 to F, 1 to M. If it is 1, 2, 1 is given to F, because it is alphabetical. For example, I have cities. Alphabetically I arrange and I will give the code, so that I am not biased. This alphabetical way of coding is, otherwise sometimes what happens, 1 and 2, 2 is more than 1 number wise. But it's no way that that is only an identity. It's no way that 2 is better than 1. One gender is better than another gender, I am not going to judge. But sometimes what happens, if you put in the software takes 2 is more than 1. So whichever gender you put 2, it considers, for example, as somebody was asking about the correlation. You are taking the correlation between 1 and 2, that will take 2 is better than 1. That is where it's a danger, when you are trying to find the correlation between categorical variable and continuous variable. So here I said continue, gender male, female, say OK. So you can see this now. The independent table is produced. Oh, T cannot be computed because at least one of the groups is empty. So the problem is, it is not male female. I think there is some issue, maybe small letter or capital letter. I have defined group is M and F. To avoid this problem, what I do usually, we code it to 0, 1 or 1, 2, so that we can straight away keep 1, 2. But here that spelling M-A-L-E means M-A, that is capital means only capital, small means only small, that I have to define. So now let me go to the data. Let me go to the data. It says small female and male. Male and female, they have given small letters. But I don't know what I have done. So I would like to go for share first. Share, output, share, untitled, yeah. What happened? Yes. This is my, so you can see now here, male M, small f. So if I had typed maybe, so then stop share again share, go to output, that is better, yeah. So here analyze, compare means, independent samples t-test. So here, yeah, I have written capital, define groups, small m, small. Now you can see, you got the data. So what it says, significance value 0.000, that means less than 5%. So there is a significant difference between boys and girls, male and female, in terms of their mathematics performance. This is the conclusion I can make, because my null hypothesis says there is no difference. Alternate hypothesis or research hypothesis says there is a difference. Now it is saying 0.000. Even if you look at their mean scores also, it is clear 64% for female, 69% for male. That itself indicates, but sometimes what happens, even this 5% when you are extrapolating to the population, whether it is significant or not, we need to check. So now it shows there is a significant difference. Now I wanted to see the other subjects. Compare mean, independent sample t-test. Here I will send back maths back. Then reading I am bringing here. Reading. So here also there is a significant difference. But if you see the mean, female is 72%, male is 65%. The mean difference. So the female are having good reading skills. Even if you look at statistics also, English department you find more girls, mathematics department you find less girls in general. Maybe that is partly because that is general impression we have, and also substantiated by this kind of a data. In a class also, English subject, usually the girls are toppers. Mathematics subject, boys, exceptionally girls could be toppers in general. But this is also our impression. But when we look at the larger data set, we don't know. So very recently, I have done some data analysis. I have seen the post-graduation level, I have classified students into maths and science and arts. So I found a relationship through my data analysis that, the students who have done very well at 10th class, they have gone for science stream. Who have not done well, they have gone for arts stream. So this is very recent data. This data I have collected 6 months ago in Telangana state on about 900 university student sample. I found a relationship between 10th class score. People who secured higher scores in 10th class, they have gone for sciences. Less scores, they have gone for arts. This is data. But 900 sample is sufficient or not is a different story. But same thing I could do for gender. Which gender is more in sciences, which gender is more in sciences also I can say biological science, mathematics I classify, I may get a different picture. So here I could see 72 is the female mean and 65 is the male. So then obviously the difference is existing. In the similar way, the compare means. So I say instead of reading, I go for writing. So 72 for female and 63 for male, mean. Significant difference, 0, 0, 0, less than 5%. So now out of the 3 skills what we have seen, the mathematics male is doing better than female, and 2 other things female are doing better than male. This is the data we could get. When there are 2 groups. Now I wanted to see this mathematics skill set is something to do with the ethnic group. For example, if you look at our social strata, forward caste, general category and other categories. So who are good at these 3 skills, or whether it is independent of ethnic background or dependent of ethnic background. So if I look at my own University of Hyderabad admissions data, in sciences I find more general category people, and social sciences, humanities I find more reserved category people. In reserved category, people are there in the main open competition also. Not because reserved category people are doing better than general category in social sciences, because the applicants are less from the general category. So general category people are preferring to go to sciences and technology and mathematics and engineering. The reserved category, maybe several reasons, social conditions, economic conditions, maybe opportunities, going abroad in future. If I go for engineering, I have an opportunity to go for abroad. That is possible for socially and economically advantaged children can go. But socially, economically disadvantaged children, they are afraid of going to engineering and abroad because they may not be able to afford that kind of an expenditure. There could be several socio-economic reasons while choosing their career. So now I would like to see the ethnic background of the family background. In our context, SC, ST, OBC, there they have given A, B, C, D. So is it going to make any impact? That's what. So in mathematics performance is dependent or independent. But here, if I have see the ethnic group, the ethnic groups are fine. But I cannot use t-test, I use ANOVA. That is only the difference, as you asked. I use ANOVA because there are more than 2 groups. Earlier gender is only 2 groups, I have used t-test, but it is more than 2 groups. So I am now going for ANOVA. So here analyze, compare means here one way ANOVA, bottom, one way ANOVA. I am clicking this. So it says the maths, I am choosing maths. This is the writing, or let us start with maths again. Sorry, maths is there. Cancel, analyze, compare means, one way ANOVA. So here the variables what we have given in the string. So that is where it is not showing, because I wanted to have ethnic background here. It is not there. So what now I am trying to do, is the ethnic background, whatever I have ethnic background, or I can say the parents' marital status. Let me try. Parents' marital status, let me try. If it works out, otherwise I will do something. So analyze, compare means, but still the parents' marital status also not seen. The reason is there are some blank cells. So that is where ANOVA is not agreeing for it. Then what do I do now? I need to avoid those blank cells in my data set. So otherwise I can keep some category missing, not available. I can do something so that that also can be taken into consideration. But unfortunately, so our data is not there. Now what I do now, take my, I stop sharing this. I go for this, share my data set. So now how do I remove my empty cells? Empty cells is a question, for which there are 2 things. We have to sort it out first, then all empty cells you have to clear it. So now, but unfortunately this is not appearing. Yeah. So here transform data, something called sort, or if you click here, cut, copy, paste, clear, variable, descriptive, spelling. Okay. So now data, copy database, split, select cases, sort cases. So gender, we have the data, ethnic data, ascending. You can see now lot of blanks. All these things we got all blanks. You can see now. So wherever ethnic data is not there, marital data is also not there. So now I am selecting the data where you don't have data, where cells, rows where you don't have data, but I don't know how many thousands, 4,000, 5,000 I have to select. So this is all kind of missing values. There is no data for that, just. Yeah, we have to assign a number to that. If you assign the number to that, something you can say data not available, that can be a group. So, but here that ethnic group, this is the problem. So let me first check, go to analyze, descriptive statistics and the frequencies. can see the frequencies. Analyze descriptive statistics frequencies. Yeah. You can see the blank. 1840 is blank in ethnic group. So 1840 we have to remove. Then gender all of them are there. So only ethnic group, only 1840 are missing. So now you have to remove that 1840. Then if you run the ANOVA, you should be able to get the data. Let me make one more attempt. It's 2 o'clock now. So here data, sort cases, ID number, ascending. So I got back my original data, but what I have to do is I have to just give some kind of a label and run ANOVA.